city comes to me, you know,
Commentators full of
they're
us.
in the weeds.
Absolutely. I just had a nice
Oh,
little
thank you.
texting chat with my one
You
grandson.
guys ready?
17.
7.
It's hard for
Always
them
ready.
even
We will see.
to respond to you.
They're
busy.
Okay. Good evening. I'd like to call the Ferrysburg City Council meeting to order. On Monday, November 21st, 2022, 7 p.m., Ferrysburg City Hall. Roll call, please.
Mayor Blease?
Here.
City Council O'Donnell?
Here.
Councilmember Carlson?
Here.
Councilmember Montgomery?
Here.
Councilmember Sias?
Here.
Councilmember Murdoch?
Here.
Councilmember Kate?
Here.
Invocation by Councilmember Kate, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Lord God, as we enter this week of Thanksgiving, we are reminded that we should be thankful at all times. We thank you for your provision of all things, food to eat, clothes to wear, homes in which to live, a means of earning a living, and your gift of government. We thank you for this community and all who work for our protection. In your name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comments. This time on the agenda for any citizen, direct brief comments or questions of the city council. Time for public comments will be given when an agenda item is discussed. If you have a comment or question, please raise your hand, be recognized by the mayor, and after being recognized by the mayor, please give your name and address for the record and proceed with your comment or question. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Any comment? Moving on. Number 6, consideration for approval consent agenda. 6A, approve the November 7th, 2022 City Council meeting minutes as printed. B, approve the schedule for the 2023 City Council goals.
Your Honor, I'd like to move for the approval of the consent agenda.
Support.
Motion support. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. 7, new business. A, introduction of ordinance 325, an ordinance to amend the city code by amending chapter 154 zoning to add definitions related to electronic vehicle charging stations in section 2.20, include a checklist requirement regarding electronic vehicle charging stations in section 5.50A, encourage the planning and incorporation of electronic vehicle charging stations in section 5.80B, and to include a new section 6.100, which authorizes and regulates electronic vehicle charging stations.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I have a question on this ordinance.
Okay.
Perhaps Councilmember Carlson may be able to answer. In section 1, under accessory structure, talks about being a freestanding structure, and my concern is we are in certain zones, we are limited on the number of accessory structures we can have. Like if you already have 2 structures and you're limited to 2, would you have to go to the zoning board to get a exemption for this? And is each charging station, if Leppings wanted to put up 4 charging stations, would they have to have, would that constitute 4 accessory buildings, structures? Want to tackle that first, Craig, or shall I?
I think it's a good question, and I really don't have a good answer. I'll have to get clarification.
I'll say that zoning approached this, and we chatted about this over the course of 2 or 3 meetings and looked at a lot of different ordinances in other communities and felt that this was just a good first strong run with the ball, knowing that when somebody does come to us, that more than likely there would always be something that we'd have to change. That's the intent. We just wanted to be sure we had something to be prepared with. Okay. So that is a good question.
Yeah, I just we're trying, as a government and as people are trying to go to clean energy, I'd like to make this as simple as possible. Perhaps they could relook at that. Other than that, the ordinance looks good. It did a lot of work on it, and but perhaps that would be something they might want to take another look at. Maybe come up with a different wording for the set of accessory structure, so we don't put an undue burden on the citizens coming to us. And
Talking to Tim right here, right below where it says section 1, that first paragraph where we're defining what an accessory structure is. Okay. That is just simply a definition. Is that correct, Craig?
That's correct.
And I do not recall why we did that. Do you have anything to add?
There was the reference to an accessory structure in the verbiage of the draft ordinance of the body. And so they wanted a definition to go with that. So we'll get clarification if that counts as an accessory building.
Okay, any other discussion? It's just a introduction, so there's no action on it.
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to see a definition of public versus private. If by public we mean that anyone may park at any time for any length of time, then I'm against this proposal. The word public appears 3 times in this proposed ordinance. Section 1, electric vehicle charging station is public or private parking space that is served by battery charging station equipment. Section 4, paragraph B, electric vehicle charging station spaces and electric vehicle charging stations and equipment are permitted in public and private parking lots. And then section 4, paragraph D1, all new and expanded public and private parking lots are encouraged to include electric vehicle charging stations or be EV capable or EV ready. At the turn of the 20th century and the transition from horse-drawn conveyances to vehicles powered by internal combustion engines which relied on gasoline, no level of government engaged in providing filling stations for said vehicles. Private enterprise has provided the solution in the form of filling stations where customers purchase the fuel necessary to power their vehicles. Likewise, no level of government should provide the energy necessary to provide electric vehicles. So I would request that all references to public be removed from the draft ordinance. Privately operated parking lots, such as those found at shopping centers, should abide by these restrictions, but I do not want to see the city of Ferrysburg include the use of public parking spaces in this ordinance.
I have a question, Bill. So let's say if we were looking at William Ferry Park, which is a public park, you would not think that would be a good idea to have a charging station there?
Do not.
Okay. Yeah.
Bill, are you under the assumption that Ferrysburg would be paying for these charging stations?
I don't know who would be paying for them.
Usually private companies would install them and.
I understand, but I not owning an EV, I don't know entirely how it works. I've never gone to a Meijer and had to plug in.
Right.
I don't understand that. I just don't believe the government needs to be involved in providing power for EVs the same way the government was not involved in providing power for gasoline-powered vehicles.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, but most of these charging stations have like credit cards machines on them, so Ferrysburg wouldn't be providing anything.
You're one up on me then, Jerry.
Yeah.
You're one up on me.
Yeah, I've just done some research because I was thinking about investing in some charging stations personally, but, so, yeah, most of them have, credit card readers on them. And most cities will contract with a company, will come in and they'll rent spaces to that company. And that might be an issue, renting public spaces to a company, that might be an issue, kind of like what you're facing, what you're talking about now. But,
Thank you.
Other than that, yeah, we wouldn't be supplying the power. Ferrysburg wouldn't be on the hook for any kind of, electrical bill or any kind of free power supply. Yeah, just to let you know.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Councilman Kate, would you be willing to share that with the planning commission? Sure. Good. Get that to Craig or the clerk and.
I'll give it to Craig.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you guys have any other comments on this? I think we need to do something because it's coming. There's a lot more electric vehicles now and yeah, it's coming. And I know Leppinks is interested in doing something at their parking lot area for some possible charging stations too, so. But this is a good start at least.
One other thing, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I didn't see in here anything requiring the owners of the charging stations to be responsible for any spillage. I know there are some charging stations where they'll be exchanging batteries, so there might be potential for spillage or contamination, and so we might want to address that now in this ordinance. I know it's not common, but according to a couple seminars I've been on talking about the electric vehicle, there is a battery exchange program out there.
Yeah, good information to know. Okay, any other comments or discussion? Okay, moving on. B, discussion and take action if appropriate to approve a quote from blank blank for blank amount for professional services, MDNR Spark Grant application for Barn Park. Let me look at the updated information. Looks like PM Blau Inc. has a information quote in there, proposed fee. Let's see here.
Looks like not to exceed $6,750.
Okay.
Whoa.
All right. So it looks like this is going to be a fee for 3 separate grants. Okay, 6,750. Okay, Craig, you want to update us on all this, or Will, do you want to?
Yeah, so the Rec Commission is going after 3 MDNR Spark grants. So these are just awesome opportunities to bring some money to our parks. We are targeting pickleball courts at Fire Barn Park, the waterfront at William Ferry Park, and then a new restroom building at Coast Guard Park. Ms. Blau would draft those and submit those grants for us, and then assist us through the process, as there's 3 different rounds of funding. So the first one's a bit smaller round, but those will carry over to 3 rounds of eventual funding. So I know there's a lot of opportunities, great opportunity for the city of Ferrysburg. Another bonus is that our points that we lost on for the other land grant fund don't count against us for this one.
Well, good. Okay. Tim, is this what you were talking about at the last meeting, these Spark grants, and you talked to somebody from the DNR about this?
Yes, and I did go to the Recreation Committee and talked to them, gave them some additional information on the grant program. Also, I know that there is a grant writer that is specializes in ADA compliant grants, which is what the grant program is very heavily stressed and really looking at is for anything that will help with ADA compliance. Ms. Blau is a landscape architect, I believe, which is one of the requirements under the Spark grant, to have someone, an engineer or landscape architect involved in the planning. But I also think that if we can get some of this done for at no cost, as opposed to either paying the cost or making the payment based on the awarding of the grant, maybe ways that we can go. Just putting those out there for consideration.
So, Your Honor, we went with Ms. Blau because she was at our meeting. She's done work for us before, and there is an extremely short turnaround time for this. So we need these grants submitted by December 19th for the first round. We don't want to miss out on any of that.
Okay. Tim, did you have any conversations with that gal, Cynthia Burkhauer, about helping with the grants, or do you know you wanted to see if what was going to come about the rec committee meeting first, or what we discussed first?
I have not had an opportunity to speak with her directly on this particular grant program. But so I don't have any, but I do know that she has offered in the past, and my latest communication was that they would be willing to work with us on this grant as well.
Yeah, I mean, if, you know, everybody likes free and we're always looking at our budget, so if it could save us $4,000, but like Will said, we have a deadline to meet, so I'm not quite sure if we could get her to look at
Your
some
Honor?
of those two or not.
I'm sorry, I'm not clear on who the quote is from. I see the amount of $67.50. Okay, from Pam Blau, all right,
PMB.
got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Pam Blau, yep. And she's done work with the
Yeah,
city before.
I'm
and-
familiar with the name,
Yep.
it's hard to tell who it's from.
Yeah, we've been happy with her, and she does a great job and such, but I just was curious on what Tim said before of the other gal that is specialized in ADA compliant, and she offered free services for the city, so.
Now, another thing, this is if cost is recoverable in, if they want to include that in the grant. So that is also one of the options. All the costs in the Spark grant, the city has to put up the money first, and then we get reimbursed by the government. Experts and any fees from engineering firms are also allowed to be put in with the grants. So we could, if you decide to go with that cost, we want to maybe have a stipulation that's part of the grant program or part of the grant application.
Is that your understanding, Will? Is that,
I would
that
have
could be
to-
included?
It's possible. I would have to ask Pam or maybe Craig knows if the grant application gathering fees can be included in the grant. I'm not sure they can.
Well, yeah, it does. I've got the grant right here. I was reading it, and it does state that professional fees are can be included in the grant recoverable. Engineering fees, but they can't be more than 15% of the project.
Yeah. So, and I don't know that this is an engineering fee or
Well,
or not.
Landscape
Right.
architect.
But yes, if we're able to recoup that money, we would include that in the grant fund, in our grant request.
Okay, you guys have any more comments before I accept either a motion or support?
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to approve a quote from PM Blau in the sum of $6,700, or $6,750 for professional service for the MDNR Spark grant application for the Fire Barn Park.
I'll support.
Okay, motion support. Oh, sure. Come on up to the podium. Further discussion is right now.
Agreed. Yep, thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Yes.
At this time, I'd like to amend my motion to include, all three parks, Ferry Park and what's the other one?
Coast Guard Park?
Coast Guard Park and Ferrysburg Fire Barn Park.
I'll still support.
Okay. Motion support amended to include Ferry Park, Coast Guard Park. Motion from Jerry, support from Will. Okay. Further discussion.
One moment, Your Honor. Just saw that. Licensed engineer, architect, landscape architect, preparation for plans, specification, bid documents, no more than 25% of the total project cost. That is in the overview for the application.
Okay. Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. 7C, discussion, take action if appropriate to adopt a resolution approving the submittal of a Michigan Coastal Management Grant application for a nature-based project for erosion control at the Grand River shoreline of the Kitchell-Linquist Archer Dunes Preserve. Craig?
So along the cove, next to the marina, with the high water, after it receded, it left some riprap, and it's not very attractive, and the Dune Preserve Board's been looking at a way to either remove it or make it more aesthetic pleasing. And so they've been working with a consultant who has come up with a plan to do some erosion control using a nature-based plan where we would take dead trees from the preserve and put it along the shoreline, and then would create maybe aquatic wildlife habitat. And the cost would be, is in your packet, about $50,000. It's a match that would be paid for by the Dune Preserve Board from their funds at the Community Foundation.
Yes.
Craig, have we gotten any feedback or anything from the Corps of Engineers as far as putting riprap or logs or anything up in the waterway?
Not yet.
Okay.
That would be part of the
That
process.
would be part of the process.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm kind of concerned about putting logs in the water. They can come loose in storms and create problems for shipping. It may want to look at another way. Also, this is paid for by funds by the Kitchell-Linquist Dunes, correct? Not
Correct.
city funds.
That's correct.
All right. Thank you.
We're also looking at doing some beach nourishment along the cove there too, from when the Corps does their dredging. We've had some contact with the Army Corps of Engineers about placing some sand in that area as well. Try to maybe create a wetland also in that area.
Okay.
Your Honor, serving on the KLH Dune Preserve Board, I can say the reason that they're considering the log issue is because they want to bring it up to its natural habitat, what it was before. You know, it was kind of used by mankind, and they say naturally, you know, there would have been a lot of logs and debris wash up on the beach, and so that would be their way of bringing it back to its natural habitat, if you will. Another reason they consider that is cost savings. I guess talking to some of the engineers, they said if we could use some of our own material for the fill or to prevent the wash away, that we could save some money on with that. So that's why they were considering the logs and putting that type of thing up on the beach there.
Rich, you had something?
I was just wondering, cost difference between the riprap and wood. And if you're just gonna put softwood pines in there or something like that, how long is it gonna last compared to cedar or treated lumber?
Yeah, because right now, I mean, they're considering using just what's available on the property, you know, which is probably mostly white pine and hemlock, I would assume, and yeah, so yeah, which does decay rather fast generally. So, good question.
Your Honor,
Yes.
what happens if we just pull all the riprap out and let nature take its course? I mean, if I understand it correctly, there's a bunch of stuff in there that consists of broken concrete, cinder blocks, some rebar, and unused cable, which has nothing to do with nature, right? What happens if we pull that out and let nature take its course? I mean, 10, 15, 20 years from now, we're going to be dealing with high water again, right? Probably, maybe. Does this need to be done?
Generally, I think that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish here. We're trying to get rid of the rebarb and the
Yeah,
concrete
I get that.
and the riprap.
Let's pull
And then
that
find
out, but
something
why do we
more
need to put more
natural.
stuff in?
Well, we're not really putting more stuff in. We're just putting natural debris and stuff that's naturally available, you know, and yeah, and maybe some fill from the Corps of Engineer if possible. But basically, that's what we're trying to accomplish. Just cleaning this area up, getting rid of the debris field from the concrete and the rebarb, which is a hazard, a safety hazard for, you know, boaters
Agreed.
and everybody. But just to kind of stop the erosion issue, just by adding some natural preventative things to help us save the beach, if you will. But that's what's the most of the cost is getting rid of the concrete and the rebarb and different things and moving it. I think the marina had some interest in using some of the concrete and rebarb as well, so you might be able to save a little money there as well. So that's something I think we're still working on.
So Jerry, is the plan for it just to go where the existing erosion control is now, along the marina there?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. Just take out what's there now and fill it in with more of a natural setting, basically. And in turn, slowing down the wash away. Yeah.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I served for 4 years on KLH board, and within the last year, we had a member that had looked at different Google Earth photographs of how the shoreline was, and it's chilling the amount of shoreline that has gone out into Lake Michigan from KLH dunes. So I can understand why you want to stabilize it. But I also, if I look at the last photo, the last page, Craig, is this, if I look at this photo, is that orange line that's shooting out in the peninsula, is that the property line? Essentially?
Where the boats are, yes,
I mean, we have, the property goes all the way out to the tip, essentially.
that's correct.
And all of this, you remember those photos that we looked at?
Yep.
All of this was pretty much,
Yep, plus
Land.
up around the horn.
yeah. So you can see what's happening is the river's coming down and hitting that shoreline, and it's just eroding away that point. And that point is the entrance into North Shore Marina. Is North Shore looking at doing anything for erosion control?
Yes, they got a project going that is going to replace some of that riprap and extend, put a seawall in there. And they just got their permit from the Army Corps of Engineers, so that project should be starting shortly. If you took all that riprap out of there and didn't put anything in there, there's concern that it's going to erode the land from the marina. So he has a concern about protecting his land and the marina from erosion as well.
It seems like the North Shore Marina people would be extremely interested in what we're trying to achieve here.
Yes, but they're putting the seawall up there along the side there too, so he's doing what he needs to do, protect his property as well.
He's putting a seawall on his side.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I guess I have a question. On this photograph, what are the green lines?
That's the location of where they would put nature-based erosion control. So the logs in that area, and then that's where they're gonna try to protect the shoreline. And then there's some space in there where they want to still be able to have boats be able to access the property, and that's where those gaps are.
So the trees, they're envisioning laying them perpendicular to the shoreline.
Yes.
I would also like to add, and I know it's been mentioned before, but this won't cost the city anything. It's mostly coming out of the Kitchell-Linquist Dunes Fund and the Grand Haven, what is it, reserve, what's the
Community
Grand Haven-
Foundation.
Foundation, thank you, Community Foundation, yes, so, yeah, so it's not really gonna cost the city anything for that
Right.
grant.
Yeah. Yeah, and it looks like there was an expert here, ecologist, senior restoration ecologist that, you know, he did this report and such, so they probably know what they're doing. Okay, any further discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I would move that we approve the submittal of the Michigan Coastal Management Grant application for the nature-based project erosion control at the Grand River shoreline of the Kitchell-Linquist Hartker Dunes Preserve.
I'll support.
Motion support, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. D, discussion take action if appropriate to adopt a policy regarding live streaming of meetings. Correct?
This is a policy that would cover live streaming with the city. If something happens that is out of the control of the city, that, you know, when the city is not liable. It also provides that there's something that is said that shouldn't be said, that can be redacted from the YouTube. And it's just something to protect the city a little bit in case something does happen.
Yeah, looks like we didn't have one before, and I know like Village of Spring Lake has a policy. I think probably other municipalities do also, so,
Your Honor,
yes.
I'm gonna move that we adopt a policy regarding live streaming of meetings.
Support.
Motion support, further discussion?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
I am against most forms of censorship. However, it is, I think, appropriate to, if somebody's using foul language, profanity, that's not something that we should be broadcasting to the general public or defaming, a fellow private citizen, something that does not relate to the current business before the city council. So this policy, the one thing I'd like to add to this policy is that for legal reasons, that we do keep a unedited version for our records in case something comes up later on. But for the general public, yes, we can, I would go with the being able to keep it business related.
Okay. Further discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I understand profanity, vulgarity, obscenity. It's got no place. Second bullet point on that back page, who defines hate speech or discrimination? I mean, how do we define that? You know, depending on what group you're part of, what group you're affiliated with, almost anything we say today can be defined as hate speech or discrimination. How do we define that?
Perhaps we go with the Supreme Court definitions.
That is?
That I do not know. I just remember. I don't have that right off the, I'm sorry, I do not have that particular information right off the top of my head, but I do know that they did rule on hate speech and what constitutes hate speech.
I mean, and any group who doesn't like what you say can call it hate speech. Any group who doesn't like what you say can call it discrimination. How do we, as a legislative, well, maybe not legislative, but as a governmental body, define what that is? And if we can't define it, we can't include it in this ordinance.
So my thought would be that anything that gets edited would have to be reviewed by the city attorney before it got edited.
So it would have to go through legal channels.
Yes.
All right.
So yeah, legal counsel would look it over.
I would just leave it with the council.
Yeah, so who recommends that to legal counsel then? I just hate to see our attorney fees go through the roof. Is it solely up to Craig to recommend to the attorney?
I thought it would be if I got received the complaint, then it would be reviewed by the city attorney.
Okay.
It doesn't happen that often here. Wouldn't like it, you'd have to censor every meeting. And I don't think that, I've never been to a board meeting where
No, I'm thinking that, you know, we've had accusations of inaccuracies, misinformation, and defamation in several handfuls of meetings this year already, so. Are taxpayers gonna pay an attorney to review each one of those council meetings? I just don't wanna see this snowball into something.
we just leave it up to the chairman or the mayor to, whoever's running the meeting, to decide whether there's something that occurred that might wanna be censored.
Yeah, I'd almost like to call it out in the moment and have a vote to ask the city manager to direct it to the attorney. Did the city attorney, give any guidance or recommendation, Craig, outside of what's written?
He reviewed the policy and made a few changes, but he had nothing else to say about it.
Okay. Any further discussion? We have a motion and support. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. E, discussion, take action if appropriate to schedule work session as a regular agenda item on December 5th. Looks like, what do we have on here? 2023 goals. Okay, anything else that we want to add to the work session? And everybody got a copy of the schedule for the goals, so November 30th is coming up quick, so submit your proposed goals to Amber.
Your Honor,
Yes.
Craig, December 5th, we'll be ready for ethics potentially.
Yes, hopefully.
Is that something that we could do on a work session?
Work session or agenda item would probably be an introduction of an ordinance. We can do a work session first before we do introduction. Draft.
You guys want to add it as work session?
We'll have a chance to review it as an introduction, so I don't know if there's a need for a work session.
Okay, you guys.
We can do a work session as a draft and then the introduction next following meeting.
I mean, I'm good with that. Just an introduction. We had a work session, it was discussed.
Yeah, I agree with Will. I think we can just we can skip the work session.
Okay. All right, so nothing else to add for work session? Okay. All right, we need some motion and support on that.
I'll make a motion to support scheduling a work session as a regular agenda item on December 5th.
Support.
Okay, motion support. Any further discussion? Looks like there's just 2023 goals on there, Craig. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. 8, public comments. Mr. Lyons, come on up to the podium.
Talk really loud.
That working now?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. My name is Joe Lyons, 16857 Virginia Avenue in Ferrysburg. It saddens me really to be here to discuss the issue that I'm bringing up and that has been an issue since June 20th of 2022 when I was accosted in the parking lot of City Hall by a gentleman who accused me of showing my genitalia on the World Wide Web, and then further in comments here at City Council referred to me as a pedophile, also referred to me as a pervert. I would hope to think that I was neither one of those, but everybody has their opinion, I guess. But while in the company of former Mayor Rebecca Hopp and Mr. Todd Madison, I came upon a group of people, including council members Rich Carlson and Deborah Murdoch. I was verbally accosted by a Mr. Soberg who made rude and salacious remarks regarding what he claimed are photos of my genitalia posted on the World Wide Web. During a public comment section of the October 3, 2022 Ferrysburg Council meeting, wherein Mr. Soberg stated that I was a pedophile and should not be allowed close to minors. He made reference to my annual representation of Santa at the Ferrysburg Carol Sing, indicating that I should be banned from that activity and that I have graciously donated to the city for over 20 years. My comments tonight in this communique is to bring to the council's attention the untruthful and reprehensible responses made by my questioning of council members Carlson and Murdoch during that October 3 meeting when they denied having heard the comments made by the gentleman, and also to mention for the record that during that June meeting that both Ms. Murdoch and Mr. Carlson indicated that they thought Mr. Soberg was rude and disrespectful. But then when I brought it to their attention, again, on the later meeting of October 3, neither of them could remember, or they would not admit that they had heard the comments made by Mr. Soberg, which is concerning to me because, as you might well know, I am considering some civil action against Mr. Soberg. But that aside, we're talking about ethics and we're talking about the treatment of individuals here in the city of Ferrysburg. And to that, I have penned a formal complaint, and I want that read into the record. This was on October 17th. Ferrysburg City Council. It is with regret that I find it necessary to file a formal complaint regarding the untruthful, salacious, and libelous comment made by Council Member Deborah Murdoch about me at the conclusion of the October 17th council meeting. Ms. Murdoch stated, quote, for the record, end quote, that I had called her a, quote, effing liar, end quote. This comment entered into permanent file of the city and was broadcast electronically to the community and bespeaks of a total lack of ethics on the part of this elected official. Ferrysburg City Charter Section 4.282 provides ample direction for removal of office of elected officers. Ms. Murdoch's actions certainly fall within the parameters of the charter for consideration of removal from office. Those are strong words, and Debbie, I'm sorry to have to bring that against you, but okay, once again, we'll have to say that I'm most unhappy that these sorts of things come before our council, that they're presented in front of our city, which I know how much I love it. I've been here for over 35 years, and I love this town. And we need to straighten some things out. If it's ethics that we're talking about, I'm not finding them. I'm not finding them widespread in this council. I don't know what else to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I'd like to say something, and this is a comment to Joe on his comment. I'm going to try to make this nice, Joe, but you're the only one that keeps bringing it up month after month. We've moved on past this months ago, and it's you that keeps coming to our council and bringing it up time and time again. We would like to move past this, Joe, and we would like to allow you to move past it. But when you come here and speak every month about it and keep bringing it up, it gets tiresome, I'm sorry to say. And
Your
we
Honor,
all understand your complaint. We've all heard it numerous times. But we have no authority, Joe. This has nothing to do with city council business, and I've told you this several times. It happened outside. It was by somebody that does not sit on council, the original comment. What authority do we have over that? None. Okay?
Are you finished?
Yes, I am.
May I,
Yes, you may.
Your Honor?
Sure.
Thank you. Jerry, there have been comments in this council dais that by Mr. Soberg, who called me these salacious names. I'm a member of the zoning board. I have offered my services free of charge to this community for entertainment at our 4th of July picnic, at the carol sing, and other duties as well. These comments that have been made about me aren't just things that we hear in this hall. There's technology that brings them to the face of the world. The entire world knows that there are people in this community that think I am a pervert, that think I am a pedophile. It's happened here
Joe,
in front of you.
But again, what jurisdiction does this council have? What authority do we have what the entire world
You
knows?
have an ethics policy yourselves.
So what, are we supposed to kick Mr. Stolberg out of the city? I mean, what could we possibly do?
My charges have nothing to do with Mr. Soberg.
And as far as the Debbie complaint goes, Joe, I'm sorry, but this whole council heard what you said when you left the room, and so did the majority.
I did not hear.
So did the majority of the people sitting there. There was a big whoa when you left. And we can, yeah, you can't see the,
Tell me the date, the
on
time.
film, but-
And tell me the date, the time, because no comments that have been made by Ms. Murdoch indicated a time or a date. I did not say those words.
well, I
Thank
would
you.
agree to disagree with you, Joe, and that's as far as I'll go on that. So, thank you.
Good evening.
Any more public comments? Okay, moving on. Report, city manager,
No report?
city council members. Bill?
I got a couple of things. Harbor Transit met. They're going to be resuming fare collection in early 2023. And Craig, you'll have to help me on this. I don't remember the name of the program that they're going to be using. The fares will be collected via smartphone. There'll be no collection boxes on the buses.
Software program? for all
Yeah, I don't
match.
remember the name of it. Ridership is slightly up since September, but down overall pre-pandemic. Other meeting that I attended, and Scott, you can help me on this if I leave anything out. Police Commission met on the 9th. There's a new mobile command post coming, which will be like an office on wheels
Yep.
for incident and event or emergency management. And it's being paid for out of, I love this, out of the marijuana money. 3 new hazmat trailers are coming. 1 each will be stationed in Ferrysburg, Allendale, and Holland. The county has put in for them, rather, and those will enable our fire departments to handle hazmat incidences much more efficiently. Crisis intervention teams, deputies are being paired with mental health professionals, and it's helping with a decrease in repeat offenders where mental health clients, if I guess that's the best word I can come up with, aren't being seen over and over and over again. They're being helped through the process. We have a new officer in Spring Lake and Ferrysburg. His name is Mitchell Mast. He's working night shifts. And finally, this has nothing to do with any meetings other than my farmer association with True Value here in Ferrysburg. They have decided not to try to sell the store anymore. It's being vacated. They're going through a wholesale redistribution right now where other stores that can use their products are being able to buy them. And next week, the public will be able to come in and buy whatever's left on the floor at about 50% off. So we have a huge hole in our community.
Bummer. All right, Will?
Just the rec commission met. We discussed the grants that we have, as well as for the Spark grants, as well as options for the land use grants. Some members of the committee are going to travel to East Lansing, correct? To speak on was it the 14th of December? 14th of December to the grant committee for the land use and plead our case that none of us were around in the early 70s when we violated their terms, and hopefully that will help us out. We did get 50 points in that particular grant as a connector park with all the new bike paths. So that's super helpful, and hopefully us going in person will show the city's continued commitment to doing what's right. So that's end of report. Thanks, Your Honor.
Okay. Rich?
No report.
Debbie?
December 6th, 10th, I have it right here in front of me. And we have a church that's volunteered to lead the singing. I have heard through the grapevine that Joe Lyons is going to be the Santa. Okay, great. And so that's a go. The holiday decoration contest, we're asking for applications. It's online, is that correct, Craig? It will be. Okay, December 15th is a cutoff for the recommendations for the Christmas lights, and there will be prizes for that. The beautification committee has canceled the December 12th meeting, so we will meet again in January. End of report.
Okay. Jerry?
The only real report I have this month, or this meeting, I guess, I received a complaint about our new bathrooms during the Monster Bash, that there's no changing stations in there. Maybe that's something we could look at fixing. So that's it. End of report.
Okay. Tim?
Okay, just a couple things. The MML is putting on training for the newly elected officers. It's good training even for the old elected officers. It's a good refresher. November 30th, it'll be held in Lansing, an all-day session. And then they have another course, which is virtual, held on December 8th and 15th. Both, and you need to attend both classes or both sessions. It is virtual. You can, so I strongly encourage you to, everyone to take part in that. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. on December 8th and 15th, and the cost is $85, and they need to register prior to December 1st. And again, this stuff covered, or these meetings are very, very beneficial. They cover the OMA, FOIA, financial aspects of dealing with government, the general city rules, laws, ordinances, and give everybody a better understanding, especially the new people, on what is expected of elected officials. End of report.
Okay.
I'm sorry, one other thing. Will, Councilman Montgomery, is there a cost to the city for your going to Lansing?
I'm not attending. I don't know if they're claiming the mileage or not, I would have to ask them.
Welcome to.
Right, right.
Should be less than that.
It won't be more than.
Mileage would be a. Okay. All right, end of report, I'm sorry.
Okay. The only thing I have here is MPO Policy Committee meeting for November was canceled. That was supposed to be last week. I think they'll have one December. I'll keep you updated. Economic Development Task Force met last week. We'll have a report soon to council. Our next meeting for that's going to be Wednesday, December 7th. End of report. Everybody have a good Turkey Day. Motion adjourned.
Craig, the snowflakes look great. Turned out really good.
My powder puff goals or my real goals?
Need more decorations.
We
Need more
need to,
decorations.
well, we need to get the lights
Um,
coming down
just,
Ridge
you know,
and connecting the lights over here to the lights over here.
So
It's over on, like,
basically,
that's that express.
I would really like to fix all the
Propane.
braking.
But they got, I mean, but